Hello and welcome back everyone. Today I just wanted to have a look at my latest unit that I acquired and talk a little bit about the reasons why I actually got Accursed Cultists. I don't believe I ever seen anyone play with these, or well, extremely rarely. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But first of all, let's have a look at what's in this Cursed Cultist box. So what you get are 5 mutants and 3 torments. Yeah, okay. Got your bases. Yeah, 3 of them for the big guys. Oh, those are some tiny bases. Oh, wow. These are what? These gotta be. Is there any? Oh yeah, there it is. 25 millimeter base. I got these regular ones. What is this? 30 something or? I'm not sure. Doesn't say. I might actually change those. Those are so tiny. Well, anyways. So, yeah, you got your torment here. That's actually quite a large. Look at that detail. That's some crazy detail. I'm gonna love to dry brush that. More of your. Oh, there's some of these mutant parts here. Yeah. Great stuff. Very cool. This is interesting. This is one of the Accursed Cultists. Comes in one piece, no assembly required. I don't believe I've ever seen that with the current products of Games Workshop, but so that's a little bit weird. But the other cultists are, yeah, they come in parts for sure. Amazing that this is 8 miniatures. That's kind of interesting, actually. I always doubt them every time I see this. Like, no, that can't be right. I must have forgotten something, but it's all in there. Okay, let's have a look in the assembly guide. Yeah, like I said, there's one solid piece. Just put it on a base. You're ready to go. Now, there's no additional war gear options here or anything because these guys, they can't shoot, and it's just, yeah, hideous mutations or whatever it's called. They're melee weapons. Exactly. So when it comes to painting these, I'm actually getting more and more into these contrast paints. I just got this to base them with, which is white Scar. I used to have Corax White, but Corax White doesn't exist anymore. And to be honest, if you notice that Corax White and Grey Seer, they're very, very similar to each other in colors. So I guess the Grey Seer pretty much replace Corax White. But White Scar is very, very white. But maybe that's a good thing when you paint with contrasts, because it will really get those contrasts up a little bit more. So in terms of painting these guys, I have, let's see, I have another unit going on over here where I'm painting with Plague Bearer Flesh. So that creates a very nice kind of contrast to the green. So I might use that to certain parts. But I also have, because they're kind of fleshy, so this color here, I'm probably not saying this correctly, but Rakart Flesh. This one actually becomes very, very nice as a flesh color once you shaded it and bring back a little bit of that fleshy color on top of it. You can also use, maybe not this one, but just if you have actually the White Scar base on it, you can use shade that with like Gilman Flesh which is a contrast, and it would look super, super awesome. I also have this one from Army Painter that I used before when I painted some, well, zombies and such, necrotic flesh. This is a really, really cool color. I love it once it's been shaded. It looks awesome. So I might use that on this guy's, this one's mutated arm or something like that. But necrotic flesh is a quite nice color as well. Yeah, okay, so that's that. I'm gonna look forward to assembling them and put them hopefully on a little bit bigger basis, but yeah. So I'm just gonna put these aside. Okay, let's have a look at some stats, I think. So here they are, the Accursed Cultists. They're actually kind of cheap. Get into your army. Now I'm gonna talk about boarding actions most of the time here because like everyone else, I'm currently playing boarding actions. So the Accursed Cultists, you got 6 points for every mutant and 15 points for the torments. So they're still very, very cheap. I mean, normal cultists are 5 points each model. And it is a... I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. The torments are 15 points. If you compare it to something like a chosen, which is 25 points, which is a very, very good price for a elite unit, or possessed that are 28 points per model. So either chosen or possessed, those are usually the ones I play. I played with Terminators for a long while now, but I scratched those from my boarding actions. In this book it says 33 points per model, but it's actually 36 points per model, so they're not worth it in terms of points, especially not considering what they bring to the table either way. Okay, so mutants, first of all, the 5 mutants. Movement of 6, weapon skill and ballistic skills 4, that's okay. That's basically a 50-50 chance to hit. Strength and toughness 4, that's pretty standard. As a Chaos player, you're probably familiar that you can actually boost these a little bit. Wounds 1, that's okay, considering what we'll get to. 2 attacks, again, as a Chaos player, you can potentially boost that. So that's actually pretty good for such a cheap unit. Well, 3 in power rating, 6 in points. So 2 attacks, that's pretty good considering like normal cultists only have 1 attack. And you got your leadership of 6, which really doesn't matter for this unit, and your save roll of 6, that again just doesn't really matter for this unit. We'll get to that. And now the torment, 6, 4, 4, again pretty much standard stuff. Strength 5, that's actually pretty good. Toughness 4, wounds 3. So that's interesting. If you compare to like a Chosen or Terminator, they also had 3 wounds and even possessed. So that's a pretty damn good deal. Now, in terms of attacks, I'm not quite sure how I feel about this, because either you'll do, it's a very, very uneven kind of number, 2d3. So either you can make 6 attacks, which is their maximum amount, or they make 2 attacks, which is the minimum amount. So it's a little bit uneven. It's okay, I think, but still. But what I'm wondering about, and I realize it as I'm talking, that I wonder if it's every model, every torment model, but considering that this is a unit, maybe that's what I'm supposed to roll for all 3 torments in my unit. Let me know what you think about that. I'm not sure if it's for every model or for the unit. I don't believe that's specified. And the same thing with leadership and save roll. Now, the weapons are strength user. So basically for the mutants it's 4, for the torments it's 5. -1 AP, -2 AP, that's pretty good. 1 damage, 2 damage. That's actually pretty good. Now, in terms of rule, Accursed Horde. This unit cannot perform actions and cannot embark on transport models. Now, first of all, I'm playing boarding actions, and what kind of person in their right mind would actually use a unit that cannot perform actions? Which means they cannot open doors, they cannot secure objectives. So what are they good for? I noticed that a lot of people seem to play their own kind of rules when it comes to that. That even though this kind of unit cannot perform actions, they can still perform actions. And the argument is usually like, well, it doesn't say in the rule book that that they cannot perform actions. Well, technically, this is the Abaddon rulebook for Arcs of Omen. And what it says is basically boarding actions is an expansion to Warhammer 40k. As such, unless otherwise specified on the following pages, and it's not specified on the following pages, all of the Warhammer 40k rulebooks, as well as those found in codexes and other supplementary publications, apply to Battlethought this expansion. So this unit cannot perform actions. They cannot open doors and such. But fortunately for me, as a Chaos player, there's a stratagem in the Angron book. Where is it? Yeah, down here. Use the stratagem in your movement phase when a traitor or starter cultists. Unit from your army finishes a normal move. You can open one hatchway with this within 1 inch of that unit. Your opponent cannot attempt to prevent the hatchway from opening. Okay, it's one command point. That's okay. But at least I have the option of opening doors. And my opponent cannot prevent that from being opened. So if you want to swarm a place with cultists pretty fast, and that's a pretty good stratagem for a unit that cannot open doors. But still, will probably not play with that, but regardless. This is where it gets interesting. Now, return up to 3 destroyed mutant models in your unit so during your command phase. So technically this whole saving roll, sure, if you manage to roll a 6, unless there's too much armor penetration going on, then you will be able to actually resurrect them. Or you can return 1 torment with its full wounds remaining. That's pretty sweet. Fearsome aura. Subtract 1 for leadership characteristics. It matters a little bit of what you're playing against. But this one is also very, very interesting. Unnatural generation. Each time a model in this unit would lose a wound, roll a d6. On 6, that wound is not lost. So basically, the save roll kind of works as that rule. If it's not too much armor penetration going on, then potentially you could save that. If not, then potentially you could ignore a wound. And since, again, like the leadership characteristics, it doesn't matter because the destruction of mutant models is ignored for the purpose of morale tests in this one. But what I actually find very, very interesting about the Accursed Cultists, because we established that torments, they're actually pretty good. And again, back to the Angron book of playing boarding actions, Accursed Cultist units from your boarding squad. When they do so, split the units of all mutants are in 1 unit and the torments are in another unit. So this unit needs to be split into 2. And I think this is pretty good because you're only allowed to have 3 troops. So basically what you get with the torments, considering their stats, you pretty much have a unit that is so somewhere around an elite unit in terms of wounds and attacks and such, and that's 1 unit basically. So the mutants are 1 and the torments are 1. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Again, I'm not quite sure how this applies. If the mutants are in 1 unit and they get destroyed and you get to return those, and at the same time if a torment is killed or something, that this applies. We kind of need to speak that. We need to have a little chat on how we're going to play that through. Now, as I mentioned before, also before I finish this up, as you know, as a Chaos player, you can potentially boost these stats a little bit. Movement, strength, toughness, and even attacks. I play Creations of Bile, which adds 1 to movement and 1 to strength. So my mutants will always have a strength value of 5 and my torments a strength value of 6. That's pretty good. And I'm gonna release a somewhat tactical guide of how I play my not Terminators, my Chaos Army in boarding actions, but I actually play with Fabulous Bile himself. And he can actually, he can boost either core or infantry unit, and this is an infantry unit, the Accursed Cultists. So he can actually give them +1 in strength, which is kind of redundant if you already have +1 in strength from your Legion trait, which is the Creations of Bile, and 1 to toughness. That's gonna make a whole lot of difference, from 4 to 5 in toughness. That's gonna make a whole lot of difference. Believe me, I've done it with these guys and the Terminators, and it makes a world of a difference. Or +1 attack. So 2 attacks are suddenly 3, and it's gonna be 2d3 +1 attack. So yeah, you can actually boost them pretty well. I know they don't look too impressive on paper, but that's usually the thing. If it doesn't look too great on paper, it works very well in gameplay. Legionnaires is one thing, but like Terminators, they look so great on paper, but they never really play out too well in game, that is. Yeah, so enough chit chat. Accursed Cultists, very much looking forward to playing with these guys and see what they can do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any thoughts, comments, or anything like that, let me know. I'll answer them if I can, that is. But for now, happy gaming, and stay true to the true Emperor. Cultists. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you soon.